give takbir and you find people trying. Where are you? He's running away, and this one is running away. I'm going to catch. And the guy makes a split like a karate. What are you doing? He left the salat, he left the khushu', and he's pursuing this man and that man. And some of them, they pray and they do this in salah. They do movement. They start itching. What is this? Where is the khushu'? All of this indicates that our prayer is totally not accepted and will not lead us to Jannah, because there is no khushu'. So, I'm way over my time, I think, but who cares? Nobody's listening. The people are sleeping. So the Prophet said, whomever Allah Azza wa Jal wants to do good to, He gives him understanding of the religion. In order to get to Jannah, you have to understand the religion. You have to walk the talk. And this does not come easy. Knowledge is not given to you in a sandwich. And mashallah, I've listened to Sheikh so-and-so's lectures on YouTube. Very good. I followed him on Instagram. Mashallah, nice pictures. And I've learned a lot. Now I'm a student of knowledge. No! True knowledge requires a lot of striving and working. It is gained by striving for it. It is gained by going to scholars in the masjid and bending your knees and sitting in knowledge circles and taking notes and then calling the scholar. You said so and so. What did you mean? I didn't understand. What is the reference? This is how you increase your knowledge bit by bit. Not only that, also by praying tahajjud at night, by fasting every Monday and Thursday for the sake of Allah, without the intention of today's Monday, I'm fasting. Oh guys, anybody fasting? Please raise your hand. Oh, subhanallah. There's no sincerity. I get people coming to my office Monday morning, and he's, what's happening? I don't ask. It's my habit. I don't like to, poke people and ask about something. It's not my concern. And the guy says, Wallahi, I'm so tired. I ignore him. Wallahi, ya akhi, I feel so down. I ignore him. And then he said, don't you have coffee, tea? I said, would you like some? He said, no, I'm fasting. Keep your sincerity to Allah Azza wa Jal, your deeds is to Allah. When you give in secret. When you preach in secret. Don't come and say to people, I did this, I did that. And only then your knowledge would benefit you. Don't care about the people. What good would my lecture be if I, on the day of judgment, become a bridge on hell, and you guys walk over my back and reach safety while I fall down? I care less about you. I want to go to Jannah. You go to Jannah, you don't go to Jannah, this is your problem. I want to go to Jannah. Therefore, I have to work on my sincerity. I have to work on my own knowledge. I have to be fearful that there is a possibility that Allah would not accept me. So coming back to the path to Jannah, how does knowledge take me to Jannah? It's very easy. The knowledge that gets you closer to Allah will make you higher in level in Jannah. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, in a beautiful hadith, the Quran will be addressed on the day of judgment. May Allah make me and you among the companions of the Quran. Sheikh, what do you mean companion of the Quran? I always have a Quran in my pocket, in my PDA, in my phone. I am a companion of the Quran. It will be said to the companion of the Quran on the day of judgment, read, ascend and recite like you used to recite in the dunya. Because your last level in Jannah, according to what you recite. Does this mean that because I read one juz' of Quran every day, because a proper Muslim, the minimum is he finishes Quran once a month. This is the minimum. Some finish it every 20 days. Some finish it every 3 days. I know an uncle in my masjid, may Allah give him long life and a good ending. Zero, almost late 80s. And he can barely walk. He comes 15 minutes before adhan. He gives the adhan and reads the Quran and leaves after the faridah is over and everybody is gone. So approximately he spends like 45 minutes to an hour a day. Between Maghrib and Isha, he doesn't leave, go home. He stays in the masjid. After Fajr, he stays until Ishraq. He finishes the Quran every 3 to 4 days. And he doesn't read like us, like me. When I read the Quran, I read it very quick. Doesn't read like this. He reads like Alhamdulillahi Rabbil. And you hear it when there's no one in the masjid. Sincerity to the, and he doesn't get paid for the adhan. And he gives me zakat money to distribute like a lot every year. He says, give this to zakat. And I'm looking at them, whoa. And I take my calculator. If this is his zakat, then his wealth is, oh man, this guy is rich. He's rich, mashallah. But the beauty of it is that this guy reads the Quran and he loves it. Does he fall under this hadith? No. Why? Because this hadith is specifically to those who memorize the Quran. So you read and ascend in the Jannah and recite like you used to recite in this dunya. This is only for those who memorize the Quran. But those who do not memorize the Quran, of course, memorize the Quran and implement it in their lives. Because we have so many hafiz that do not walk the talk. They are good in Quran, but they don't implement it. You can sense when you deal with them man to man that they're arrogant, that they're cheap, that they want this dunya. So this is not good. Stay away. We're talking about those who memorize the Quran and implement it in their lives. How would we know? Go and check inside their houses. Let the sisters meet their wives, their daughters, their family. Go and check with their subordinates, the driver, the maid, the whatever people working under them. Go and check with their neighbors. If you find, and this is in administration, we call it 360. If you find that everyone on top and on bottom and around them give you great, high ratings, inshallah, he's from among the people that walk the talk. So you need to memorize the Quran and recite to reach the highest levels of Jannah. If you are not, don't worry, because there are other means that will take you to the highest level of Jannah, even if you don't memorize the Quran. And among this is what we are doing here at the moment. I'll conclude by this beautiful hadith. I have given you a talk in less than 45 minutes. Some of you might have benefited. Some of you may not. Allah, I pray to Allah that He makes all of us benefit from what we have heard and said. Now, those who have benefited, they will implement it in their lives, in their spouses' lives, in their children's lives, to the best of their knowledge. And they will turn from reactive into proactive, meaning that they will walk out of this hall with a mission, with a target, with an objective, which is our path to Jannah. Now my life changes. I'm going to eat good food. I'm going to stay in a good house. I'm going to have a good life, but with a different intention. All of this, I'm going to make it so that it takes me to Jannah. Why? Listen. Said alayhi salatu wasalam, whoever calls people to the right guidance will have a reward like that of those who follow him, without it detracting from their reward in the slightest. And whoever calls people to misguidance will have a burden of sin like that of those who follow him without it detracting from their burdens in the slightest. So, after this talk, will you be guiding people to righteousness and virtue, or will you be misleading others? Of course, you will all, inshallah, guide people to righteousness and guidance, and you will have their rewards, inshallah, and this would lead you to the highest levels of Jannah. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-jannata wa na'imaha wa na'udhu bika minan nari wa jahimaha. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-jannah. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-jannah. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-jannah. Allahumma aghfir lana dhunubana واستر عن الناس عيوبنا وعافنا واعف عنا وتولنا برعايتك ولا تحرمنا. اللهم احشرنا تحت لواء سيد المرسلين محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيد الأولين والآخرين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Alhamdulillah, we're moving ahead. Just to let everyone, brothers and sisters, know that by the end of today program, we'll be having a Q&A session. If you have questions pertaining to the topics, you can start to write them down and pass it to any of our volunteers and the secretariat. Inshallah, we'll take them. It's already 1:51, and it's time for us to invite on stage one of the son of our Emir of Kano, inshallah, by the name Adam Sanusi Lamido. He's going to be discussing parenting the Ummah, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Very close.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Watlu alayhim naba Ibrahim. إذ قال لأبيه وقومه ما تعبدون قالوا نعبد أصناما فنظل لها آكفين قال هل يسمعونكم إذ تدعون أو ينفعونكم أو يضرون قالوا بل وجدنا آباءنا كذلك يفعلون. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send our blessings and salutations upon his beloved messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his household and his companions. I would like to start by telling you about how excited I am to be here. After coming here yesterday, there are many different things that I've realized. I met Sheikh Asim Al-Hakim for the first time, and as you guys might have realized today, he's way funnier in person than he is online. And so, to any of you actually who got this from him, this miswak that he gave everyone, aswaki, he told me yesterday that when he gave it to me that I got a free picture, so make sure you go and chase him afterwards and get your free picture. Thank the organizers for bringing us together today, and I want to thank Allah for making us able to participate in this event, and I hope that we benefit immensely. So, today we have gathered in groups. We have friends, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunties, parents, guardians, and their children. There are many of us who have heard this song by Yusuf Islam. It's called Your Mother. It's the one that speaks about honoring your mother 3 times and then honoring your father. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Isra, chapter 17, the 13th verse says that, "And your Lord has decreed that you not worship except him, and to your parents good treatment, whether one or both of them reach old age while with you, not to them so much as oof, and do not repel them, but speak a noble word." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to speak to us children, or adults, if your parents are still alive. He's trying to tell us that when we speak to our parents, how we should speak to them, how we should treat our parents, the attitude that we must have when dealing with our parents. Now, there are many different reoccurrences in the Quran and Hadith about how children should treat their parents, but today I want to focus more on how the parents should treat their children. Now, many of us know the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, or Abraham, and we know that he was a prophet. And the prophets, as we know, were the best of people. And even amongst the prophets, Ibrahim alayhi salam was one of the best of those prophets. So we can say with no doubt that his character was something that's to be looked up to, something that's been mentioned very much in the Quran. Now, the person who was in charge of Ibrahim alayhi salam, who was responsible for Ibrahim alayhi salam, was Azar, known as his father. And Azar was an idol worshipper. Azar used to send Ibrahim and his siblings to the market, and whatever they made, he would then, for a second, whatever they made, they would bring back to their father. Now, Ibrahim alayhi salam, a lot of the time, what he would do instead was he would go to the marketplace and he would say, who would want to buy idols that would neither benefit you nor harm you? Now, if you're trying to buy your God, astaghfirullah, you would want one that at least could benefit you in some way or punish those that harm you. So he never made any sales, and of course this got him into a lot of trouble with his father. Now, the ayats that I read from you at the beginning were from Surah Shu'ara, that's chapter 26 of the Quran, and this is where Allah reveals short stories of his about 7 prophets, I believe. Starting from ayah 69, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Watlu alayhim naba Ibrahim," and reveal to them the story of Ibrahim. إِذْ قَالَ لِأَبِيهِ وَقَوْمِهِ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ, where he says to his father and his people, what do you worship? Now in this ayah, it may sound as if Ibrahim is being very strict with his father, being very direct. But in other parts of the Quran, in Surah Maryam, in chapter 19, verse 42, it says, إِذْ قَالَ لِأَبِيهِ يَا عَبَتِ. So he says, mentioned when he says to his father, "Oh my father." Now in Kano actually, as well as many different Hausa traditions, we have this thing that we go, "Ya Muhammad," or something. When you have an older brother or an older sister, you say, "Ya." So when Ibrahim was speaking to his father, when he says, "Ya Abati," he was respecting him. He wasn't, and this man was an idol worshipper. He was committing shirk, one of the greatest atrocities in Islam. And Ibrahim never raised his voice against him. He was never like, "Are you stupid? Why are you worshiping?" or something. I don't know. He was always very direct. He was always very respectful to his parents. So this is a lesson for the children. Now, some of us, our parents might, we might ask our parents something simple, such as, could we go to Safir's house for a sleepover? And they say no. And the first thing they hear is, "Kai, I know my 10,000 in," It's very common for us to do that. And so we need to be very careful in our speech to our parents. We need to understand that our parents, although we are a responsibility to them, they actually were responsible for bringing us into this. قال نعبد أصناما فنظل لها آكفين قال هل يسمعونكم إذ تدعون أو ينفعونكم أو يضرون قالوا بل وجدنا آباءنا كذلك يفعلون. So they said, "We worship these idols and remain to them devoted." So they're going to worship these idols. They're going to continue worshiping these idols. and they rejected it. Now, this could be a very big situation for us. You see, it was narrated that Ibn Umar said, Allah has called them abrar. These are the righteous, because they honored their fathers and children. Just as your father has rights over you, so too your child has over them. Many of us parents and children who are not parents, I guess you can take notes for when you do have parents. Many of us are we're into this mindset that makes us believe that when we are older than somebody, we 100% know what is better for them. We do not tolerate their arguments against what we have, and we use that as an excuse to hit them and scold them. Now, Ibrahim alayhi salam was a very brave young man, and he was actually able to speak about his beliefs in his religion. But how many of us could honestly say that if our child has doubts about their religion, they are able to come to speak to us? If our child has doubts about their beliefs, if our child has doubts about anything, that they're able to come and speak to us? You see, some parents nowadays have carried on this tradition that as soon as your child does something wrong, the first thing to do is just smack him. Shout at him or hit him. Children nowadays, they hide their exam grades from their parents. So, of course, it's very, very unlikely that one day, when their friends tell them to come and do something which is wrong, that they would want to discuss it with you first, because it's either a no or a slap. So how then could you guide your children when you don't know what is going on in their lives? How could you guide your children when you've distanced yourself? There are some, in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after the child has started experiencing puberty, started looking at the other gender, this child is no longer a child anymore, he's an adult, accountable for his own deeds. You may try your hardest to control them, but as some parents may know, over time, these kids start becoming rebellious. Now, when you start hitting them constantly without trying to educate them, Sheikh Asim and Hakim actually today spoke to us about the importance of knowledge. And when you start hitting them, when you start beating them, when you start scolding them without explaining to them why what they're doing is wrong, then all they want to do is increase in the error that they're already in. Now, us as parents, we need to understand that our kids look at us for examples. You see how your parents behave around people. I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that sometimes when you're praying, a baby would actually come and mimic you while you're praying, put his big forehead on the floor. And these are just things that happen naturally. As you grow older, they may be less noticeable, but they're still there. So showing your kid that it is okay to act violently whenever something doesn't suit you is something that is unacceptable in Islam. Whatever you do, is it too quiet? Sorry. Whatever you do, you should try your best to make sure that your kids are always looking up to you as a good example. And the way you can do that is not by hitting them, it's not by shouting at them, it's by, is this okay? Okay. It's by actually being the best that you can be to them. You need to be patient with your children. You need to be able to understand that Now, there are also different things that parents might do that is wrong against their children. Some parents might decide to give their favorite son gifts and neglect the other one. These are obviously things that Allah says that they are injustice to the kids, because you have to treat them fairly, you have to treat them equally. Allah gave them as responsibilities to you. And so we need to look at how we treat our kids, we need to look at how we treat the people around them when they are present, and we need to look at how we're able to influence them in the best way possible. But children, you need to treat your parents with love, you need to treat them with respect and care, and do not disrespect them, and try your best to be understanding. And parents, you need to treat your children fairly. Understand that sometimes you can be wrong. Allow them to live their lives, and they do not belong to you. However, if something is haram, make sure that you are very strict in making them understand why it is haram. Make sure you're lenient with them in things that aren't, and love them and show them the best of your characters. Wallahu bima ta'amaluna khabir. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله.
Jazakallah khair. Wow, that's way beyond time. Thank you very much. I hope we've all benefit from the little few words that our brother Adam Sanusi Lamide was able to share with us on parenting the Ummah. Inshallah, just for our information, we're going to bring on stage one of our sisters. However, that's not here to spend just few words with us, like 5 minutes. Upcoming events, the 50 Shades of Hopes. I would like to invite on stage our sister Medina, popularly known as, to please come tell us about their upcoming event.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So obviously I'm not a scholar. I'm just a very tiny student of Sheikh Wa'al Ibrahim, who I was blessed to meet when I spoke at a marriage conference in Abuja. I'm a marriage coach, and in my work, I hear the dark secrets of Muslim families. So I told the Sheikh about some of the troubles I hear from the wives about their husbands, and even what is afflicting our children these days. I'm talking about the internet, the addictions, the dangerous addictions it brings, how insidious they are, how prevalent it is, and how nobody wants to talk about it. And even when these troubled families go and meet the religious leaders, some of our leaders are so embarrassed by these ugly problems, they don't know how to handle it. Sometimes it's even with the parents, the wives, that handle it badly. And addiction is very, very serious. It's actually chemical. It affects your brain. I don't know if you have guessed. I'm talking about pornography. A very difficult word to talk about in public, but that's my job. So alhamdulillah, I have Sheikh Wiles full backing. And if you look behind by the door, you'll see our banner, 50 Shades of Hope. How many of us here have heard about 50 Shades of the other one? Yes, some of my sisters are smiling. It's in public media. So he's flipping the coin now, and he is ready to tell the truth so that those that have these problems can get help. And I can tell you as a marriage coach that I have had clients who are women. I have had clients who are the men. And I have had clients that are 5 years old children. Because it's so easy. Every one of us here has a phone, isn't it? Sometimes you're innocently trying to do your homework, and then Google pops up an inappropriate video. And curiosity is an innate human quality. So before you know it, because your parents won't talk to you about it anyway, before we got married, our parents didn't talk to us about it. And the little ones are just as curious. So before you know it, you have addiction, repetition. That's how addiction builds. So without drawing this out long, I'm here because the Sheikh lives in Australia and he is ready to travel 23 hours to fly, 23 hours to come here to Nigeria and train us, you and I, wives, mothers, husbands, teachers of schools, school owners, imams of masajid, everybody and anybody. I believe it's a jihad. Do you know that Nigeria is now almost the same level with America when it comes to the amount of pornography searches? Do you know? Do you know we are the highest watcher of gay porn in the whole world? Do you know that? Every Muslim home, I can assure you, as an expert that works in this field, has somebody struggling with this. So please support us any which way you can. We have numbers that you can call for inquiries if you want to make donations. We want, yes, you can pick it up from the sister waving her hand at the back. And if you want to be a sponsor, Allah will reward you for purifying the own ummah. Jazakumullah khairan. The Amir of JOF is also the Amir of our project. It's called the Aware Project. So please welcome on board. We want all of you to join. Let us kick out pornography from Nigeria. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. It's a serious problem everywhere in the world, the same problem, but the solution is to stay very far away from it. Once you start, you can't stop. May Allah protect us from that. I mean. At this point in time, though we're a little bit ahead of schedule, alhamdulillah, that's to give more room for our Q&A that will come later. I would like to call on a very young brother, which popularly know that. Do you know? Always we see him taking selfie or Wi-Fi with the shuyuks and trying to get something very, very important across, passing the message. So I have to call on this young lad, our brother, popularly known as Shuraim, Nasruddin Shuraim, to come talk to us about youth before the old age. And also, he will be moderating